So good, Susan? I missed it. Sorry. What did you say was so good? I already adore the chocolate. Oh, yeah. It is good. It is, yeah. Good morning, everyone. How are we all? What's everyone having for coffee this morning? Anything good? Are you having coffee or are you having tea? The question of the day. The question of every day. Geez, that was loud. Did you see the new coffee calendar? I did see Arnie's new coffee calendar. It's beautiful. Unstable connection. That's weird. Why do I have an unstable connection? I don't know what brand it is though, Nikki. I didn't see what brand it is that she was getting coffee from. But it did look beautiful. Oh God, this is bad. The coffee pages, sometimes the pods just get stuck in there, you know. Anyway, how are we all doing? How's everyone feeling today? Feeling good? It's Onyx brand. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of Onyx brand coffee. Interesting. Very interesting. I have gas station coffee with protein milk, not the worst, but not the best. Also fair. Also fair. I get to work from home today and Friday. Yes! Killing the game. Oh, you know what? I forgot to upload yesterday's live to YouTube. I need to do that later. Like, not the book club, the book club one's over, but afternoon live. I forgot. I need to do that. Oh, I also need to get my glasses. Don't need to get my glasses. Actually, I'll go take Grace in her coffee and I'll get my glasses when I do that. That is what I will do. I'm going to get her coffee right now, and then I will get my glasses. There we go. Alright, here we go. So we are getting down to the wire on this book. Wait, do a video of what? Wait, what? What, Mary? Oh, potato slime. Oh, I do want to see that. Will you please do a video of it? Oh, it's a Christmas present. Okay, never mind. Well, will you do a video when Autumn opens it and tell us what it smells like at least? Because I need to know. I need to know. Hey, Tiffany, how are you? I did see your email. I know I haven't gotten to you guys who need the slimes from Saturday yet, but it's just been a crazy time with everybody here, so I promise I will get to them ASAP. I promise. What did I put in here? I think it's just regular milk. I hope it was just regular milk. I might break into it and not mix it. I mean, I'd love to know what it smells like if you are open to telling us how it smells. I'm very interested. In case anyone doesn't know what Mary's talking about, she's talking about this slime that I really want, but I'm like hesitant on because of the smell, because I'm like so picky about slime smells, you know? It's this one. And like, I don't like anything gravy related, but it says it smells like potatoes, but I'm like, you know, I'm a little hesitant, but I want to know because Mary got it and like what it smells like. If any of you get it, obviously tell me what it smells like so I can know where to get it. comments were filtered to protect the community experience. You know what? I don't believe you, TikTok. I think you just filter comments for no reason. That's what I think. Because I don't think anyone in my community is saying anything that I don't want to see. And if a troll comes in and says something, you don't filter that anyway. So that is my belief about TikTok and filtering. That is what I have to say about that.
That's the whole kit and caboodle.
It's a whole kit and caboodle. I do say that too much, don't I? Hey Jen, how are you? Winnie the Pooh is in the room? Really? We have a celebrity in the house, you guys. Winnie the Pooh is here. Grayson, who's your favorite Winnie the Pooh character?
Tigger.
Ah, facts. Who's everyone else's favorite Winnie the Pooh character? Drop your favorite Winnie the Pooh character. This is what we're going to talk about now that Winnie the Pooh's here. Ooh, wait. Is it like inappropriate to say that your favorite character is not Winnie the Pooh when Winnie the Pooh's in the room?
Oof.
Yikes.
I'll just work our time.
Yeah. We got another Tigger. We got a Roo. I like Eeyore and Piglet. Rabbit's a little too neurotic for me. I don't need that when I'm already enough neurotic on my own. Yeah. Do you guys want to hear a funny story about the Winnie the Pooh characters and my sister, Catherine, who you all know and love? So, my sister and I have a different dad, which is fine, whatever. But growing up, our mom and her dad, they fought a lot, like an unreasonable amount of a lot, like the kind of fighting you see on like movies and stuff. Like it was not good, right? A lot of fighting. So my mom thought, or not my mom, my sister thought when she was a child that Rabbit and Tigger on Winnie the Pooh were married because they fight all the time on the show. So that's on not fighting in front of your kids. They're gonna think that you're Tigger and Rabbit if you do that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's real. It's real. Yep, yep. She told me that when we were adults and I was like, I don't know what to do with this information. I'm sorry. Piglet is a great one, Mary. I agree. I'm a Piglet and Eeyore girly. Every year of our childhood and many years thereafter, my brother has purchased, hey Amanda, how are you? A something Eeyore related for me for Christmas. And last year, he got a stuffed animal that now lives in Secret Baby's playpen. You just made it. You did. Okay, sorry, I won't leave this slime pinned. We were just trying to show everyone what we were talking about. Maybe everybody wants to look at Trollbella, since that's what we're reading about today. Since today's chapter is all about Trollbella, we'll pin the Trollbella book. It's actually a great book, the Trollbella book, the separate birthday party one. So is everyone excited for tomorrow? Yeah, how's everyone doing about, like, does everyone have fun plans for tomorrow? We're all going to my aunt's house. If someone reminds me, I'll take pictures of it tomorrow. My aunt's house is like, it's a miraculous place. My grandfather built it, and it looks like a castle, like a medieval castle almost. It's out in the hills near Malibu, and they bought that property like a gajillion years ago, and if they tried to buy it today, it would probably be like billions of dollars, I'm sure, if they tried to get it now. Obviously, they didn't pay billions of dollars because they bought it a bajillion years ago. But the point of the matter is, it's a fantastic place to have holidays. And we have most of my life spent holidays at Louisa's house. So that's where we'll be going tomorrow. Yeah. And it's her first time going. She's never been there. It's very exciting for you, sweet girl. You're gonna love it. She's gonna be like, I'm a princess. Obviously, because I live in a castle. Obviously. Okay, so today we are getting to the end of this. I mean, if we don't finish this today, we're definitely finishing it tomorrow. But we'll see what happens. It depends on how long she sleeps. But today's chapter is chapter 25. You're going to your dad's pizza. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Oh, your partner's dad. I love that for you. The coast is beautiful up there. We are on page 385 for anyone who is keeping track for their Goodreads, and this chapter is called The Life and Times of Queen Trollbella, written and directed by Queen Trollbella. Oh, you're just going next door. Wow, that's convenient. Tomorrow's just a normal day. That's right, because you're Canadian. You're going to your dad's house for dinner, yeah. Good morning, Anya. How are you? You made it just in time. We're just about to start, and I almost forgot to put my glasses on again. Oh my gosh, you guys. Grayson and Mabel and I are going to Wicked today. You can't see it because the baby's on me, but we're all wearing matching shirts right now. It's pretty great. We'll take a picture later. Yeah. Struggling with the coffee, that's fair. All right, here we go. The Life and Times of Queen Trollbella. Dr. Sharon Jackson had been the resident clinical psychologist at St. Andrew's Children's Hospital for over 2 decades, and today she faced the most difficult patients of her career. 4 stubborn teenage girls across from her with their arms folded. They all wore the same hospital gown and the same defiant expression. Unbeknownst to the girls, their worried parents were watching them through the mirror on the wall. Oh, thank you, Anya. Hello, ladies, Dr. Jackson said. My name is Dr. Sharon Jackson, and I'm a psychologist here at St. Andrew's. I've been asked to have a word with you. How are you all feeling today? Don't answer any of her questions, Mindy told her fellow book huggers. The less we say, the less they can use against us. I promise we're only trying to take care of you here, Dr. Jackson said. Do you remember why you were brought to the hospital? Cindy tilted her head in suspicion. We were brought to the hospital or we were sent to the hospital, she asked. Okay, well, you were brought to the hospital by an ambulance, Dr. Jackson said, and it was sent here because all 4 of you were found unconscious on a sidewalk. Does that answer your question? The book huggers shared a look, and their newest suspicion had been all but confirmed. Do you work for them? Lindy asked. For who? Dr. Jackson asked. The people who don't want us knowing what we know, Mindy said. And what do you know? Dr. Jackson asked. And who is it that doesn't want you to know it? The book huggers could tell that the psychologist was genuinely confused. Perhaps she wasn't as informed as they thought. Maybe it's best if we don't tell you, Lindy said. They might lock you up next. We've been here for 3 days, but they can't keep us here forever, Cindy said. We know our rights, Mindy said. Wendy leapt out of her seat and went to the door. She yanked on the handle. Wow, perfect timing for it to be very loud.
It's a reading book, kid.
Wendy leapt out of her seat and went to the door. She yanked on the handle with all her might, but the door didn't budge. Miss Takahashi, if you would like to leave, you can just push the door open, Dr. Jackson said. No one is keeping you here against your will. Wendy turned to the door handle and pushed it open easily, and then she blushed and took her seat. Well, prisoners or not, we know that someone very high up doesn't want us spreading the facts, Cindy said. That's the reason we're really here. I'm glad that you brought that up, Dr. Jackson said. I think it would do us all a lot of good if we went over the facts together and we take a break from suspicions. Dr. Jackson went down a list on her notepad, hoping that it would comfort the girls to put things into perspective. You were found unconscious. That's a fact, the psychologist listed. And just like any young person found in your condition, you were brought to this hospital to be examined. That is also a fact. And when you regained consciousness, you told the doctors that you had seen pirates appear out of thin air and that you had overheard a discussion about recruiting armies of fictional characters and that there was a threatened fairy tale world? Yeah, Mindy said, because we did. Why do you think we fainted in the first place? Cindy asked. Okay, well, that all aside, usually when patients awake from a trauma and describe such eccentric events, I'm asked to have a word with them to make sure there isn't any psychological damage, Dr. Jackson explained. This is all standard protocol. I assure you, no one high up has any control over you here.
The book huggers slumped down in their chairs. Given the circumstances, perhaps the psychologist had been brought in for legitimate reasons. Maybe it wasn't part of a big conspiracy like they thought. Okay. We're just tired of being told we're wrong when we know we're right, Mindy said. And it's very unlikely that 4 different people would have the same hallucination all at once, Cindy said. But no one will listen to us, Lindy said. Every time we try to tell someone what we've uncovered, they either hang up, point to the door, or threaten us with restraining orders. The book huggers were getting all worked up now. Dr. Jackson raised her hand to calm them down. Ladies, it's my job to listen to you, Dr. Jackson said. Tell me what you saw, tell me what you heard, and what you're worried about, and I'll be honest about what I believe is real or exaggerated, but I will also keep an open mind with you. The book huggers eyed one another apprehensively. Dr. Jackson was the first person to show interest willingly. She took vigorous notes as the teenagers explained the cause of their paranoia. Well, it all started in junior high, Mindy said. Alex and Connor Bailey disappeared without a trace and no one could give us a good reason why. We wanted to know the truth, and the more answers we looked for, the more questions we found. It seemed like there was something that our school, our city, and possibly the government was keeping from us, Cindy said. Finally, after a year of searching, we saw the twins at a restaurant called the Storybook Grill 4 days ago. Well, we heard them talking about recruiting armies of fictional characters to save the fairy tale world, Lindy said. It confirmed our suspicion that something much deeper was going on. And that's when we snuck into their house and peered through the window and saw the pirates and the ship appear out of thin air. To their surprise, Dr. Jackson was relieved to hear this. She set her notes aside and a big smile came to her face. She even gave them a thumbs up to the mirror. Which the bug huggers thought was a very odd choice. Oh, ladies, you know what? I have great news for you, the psychologist said. I believe every word you said. The book huggers were shocked. They had never heard those words come out of someone's mouth before. For a second, they thought Dr. Jackson and not the pirates at the twins' house might be a hallucination. You believe us? Cindy asked. Absolutely, Dr. Jackson said. You aren't experiencing delusions or hallucinations at all. You're suffering from what we call a misunderstanding. You see, the twins' mother and stepfather work here at this hospital. A surprise is that they hired a group of entertainers to perform for the patients. It's a show. The pirates you saw at their house are just performers. The ship was just a set piece. A set piece? Lindy asked. But it appeared out of thin air. Haven't you ever seen a magician or a Broadway show? Dr. Jackson said. That's what good set pieces do. It's all part of the illusion. The book huggers shook their heads and covered their ears. They did not want to believe that the psychologist was telling them this. It was all too simple. No, Mindy said, that cannot be. There has to be so much more to this story than that. I do understand your confusion, Dr. Jackson said. I met the performers yesterday and their costumes were so colorful and so elaborate that Mrs. Gordon had to explain to me, or honestly, I might have been just as puzzled as you are. But that doesn't explain the conversation we overheard at the diner, Cindy said. Why would they say things like recruiting armies and save a threatened fairy tale world? Those aren't words that normal people use to describe a show. Well, I imagine that they were using code words to keep their performance a secret, Dr. Jackson proposed. I'm sure that it took them a very long time to put it all together, and they were just being extra cautious. It's a small town. People talk, and clearly, as you've proven, people listen. The book huggers had put so much time and effort into tracking down and exposing the Baileys, it couldn't have all been for a performance. These were intelligent girls. They would have spotted a misunderstanding from a mile away. The teenagers rocked in their seats, trying to think of where they had gone wrong. Dr. Jackson glanced up at the clock. Actually, the performance is tonight, she said. But if it's that unsettling to you, I would recommend that you sit it out. Now that we know you aren't suffering from any psychological damage, I recommend that you go home and get a good night's rest. That's doctor's orders. Once the psychologist prescribed the troubled book huggers with some sleep, she escorted the girls back to the room with their parents in it and headed to the hospital's multi-purpose room. It's the loudest dishwasher on the planet. The single loudest dishwasher. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee while we wait for it to get its ish together. Hey Will, how are you? Long time no see.
The amount of gaslighting that is happening right now.
Why? Oh, in
the
this
book,
book,
I said the
she's not.
amount
No,
of
but
gaslighting.
she's not gaslighting them because she believes that it's really performers. That's the thing. Dr. Jackson really believes it's performers.
Oh, the way I was taking it is that she was just trying to get him to talk. So
The
let
o-
me gaslight you so you will talk to me.
No, my baby turned 10 months old yesterday. No, the psychologist really thinks they are performers, so she thinks she's right.
Oh.
She's not gaslighting them at all. She's just like, oh my gosh, I figured it all out. She thinks she's the best psychologist ever. It turns out they're right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's a wonderful baby. She's taking a good nap. Thanks to the characters' hard work, Trollbella and Trollbella's thorough direction, and a little touch of Alex's magic, they had put together a performance for St. Andrew's Children's Hospital in just under a day. Yes, she does have some words. The quality of it was, well, questionable, but it was a performance nonetheless. That's true. She was gaslit into believing this. That part is true. Charlotte did gaslight Dr. Jordan, or Dr. Jackson, whatever her name is. But at the same time, they are going to put on a performance, so it's no longer really a lie. Well, anyway, let's keep going. The tedious and frantic task had created a much-needed union amongst the characters and taught them to work together, which was necessary if they planned on joining forces to defeat the literary army. The pirates of the Dalai Lama and the Tin Woodman constructed a large stage with a red velvet curtain at the far end of the multi-purpose room. The sailors set up the chairs and made sure that every patient and their family and the hospital employees all had a seat. Cyborg soldiers were hung from the ceiling, and their illuminated body parts pointed toward the stage like lights. The cyborg queen herself converted into a large spotlight and was operated by Commander Neuters. Instead of using the hospital's electricity, all the cyborgs were hooked up to Bolt, who functioned like a human generator. The other Ziblings were working behind the scenes. After Morph had assisted with the costumes by turning himself into a sewing machine, the shapeshifter transformed into the set. Since Whitney had the most dexterity, she was put in charge of props. Blaze was assigned special effects, but it was the easiest job in the entire show since there was only one effect, and it was at the very end. Trollbella insisted that the performance have programs so that the audience would have something tangible to take away. Bob helped her design the exact flyer she had in mind, and one was laid on every seat. The program read, Dr. Bob and Nurse Charlotte proudly present a Trollbella production, The Life and Times of Queen Trollbella, written and directed by Trollbella, starring Trollbella and friends. I'm going to show you what it looks like. This is what the flyer looks like. Grayson? Around 15 minutes to 8 o'clock, the multi-purpose room began filling up with eager audience members. Doctors, nurses, and other hospital staff escorted patients and their families to their seats. Some children were rolled in on wheelchairs or transported in on their hospital beds. This is really interesting, right? Bets on if Butterboy and Trollbella get married in the end. That's funny. You know what? Let's take that bet right now. If you have never read this book, I want you to give the over-under on whether or not you think Butterboy and Trollbella are going to get married. Well, I tell you that Grayson works at a children's hospital, and so this is very funny to you because this could be your life. Someone could come and perform as pirates. Why
we
not?
actually have, it's this duo that comes in.
See?
And think of the, Shriners Circus performers.
Yeah.
Mixed with doctors, so they come in
Sure.
and they do a bunch of different little magic tricks and
That's adorable.
make the kids laugh.
That's right. Do you think that Butterboy and Trollbella are going to get married at the end of this play?
Yes.
Grayson says yes. I don't remember, so I can answer honestly without giving a spoiler, and I also think the answer is yes. I did read this before, but I truly don't remember what happens in this play. So, all right, here we go. Although the children weren't feeling their best, they looked around the room keenly and curiously as they waited for what was on the other side of the curtain. Alex and Bob were sitting together in the front row. Alex couldn't sit still, and she nervously shook her legs and bit her nails. Are you worried about the show? Bob asked her. No, not the show, she said. I'm worried about Connor and Mom. I was really expecting them to be back by now. Bob laughed. You look just like your mother when she's worried about you and your brother, he said. Now that I know how it feels, I'm gonna never keep her waiting again, Alex said. I hope they're all right. It's not that I don't trust them or that I think they need me. It's just... Alex couldn't think of the words to describe the feeling. You just love them, Alex, Bob said. It's as simple as that. To Alex's relief, a few minutes before the performance, Connor and Charlotte hurried into the multi-purpose room and found her and Bob at the front. They had come straight from the adventures of Blimp Boy, and Connor hadn't even had the chance to take off his backpack. Well, Alex said, how did it go? Did you find the talisman? Connor and Charlotte exchanged a smile, and Connor pulled the talisman from under his shirt and showed it to his sister. Let's just say there's a blimp parked in the field next to the hospital, and inside it, there's 1,000 mummified soldiers and 1 mummified dog. But they're going to the commissary, Connor said. So it's done, Alex said. We've recruited all the soldiers we need to take on the literary army. The twins were so thankful that the recruitment was finally over. They couldn't have done it without the help of their mom and stepdad, so they pulled Bob and Charlotte into a tight family hug. It might not have been the family vacation their mom was looking for, but the twins and their parents had accomplished something extraordinary together. Bob noticed a foul scent lingering around Connor and Charlotte. Oh my God, what is that smell? He asked. Mummies, Charlotte said. I sprayed each of them with perfume and disinfectant, but decay is not an easy odor to get rid of. Should we tell the others before or after the performance? Connor asked. Let's wait, Alex said. If they pull off the performance, then we'll have 2 miracles to celebrate. Is it any good? Connor asked. Alex hesitated to answer. Let's just say this probably won't be your favorite show, she said. Trollbella took some liberties. The lights then dimmed, and all the audience members sat in their seats, and the cyborgs illuminated the stage. Commander Neuters aimed the cyborg queen's spotlight at the center of the curtain. Trollbella stepped through the curtain and waved to the crowd. All the children gasped, as they had never seen such a lifelike troll before. The troll queen went to the microphone and stood and greeted the audience. Good evening, big room of small people, Trollbella said. Welcome to tonight's performance. Oh, baby, we're teething. We have hard times. This happened last night. She would wake up crying randomly, little teethy owies. I'm sorry, my baby.
I can see her. She's like grinding her gums.
Yeah, it's because her top teeth are coming through. One of them is half through and the other one's trying. Poor baby.
Welcome to tonight's performance. As you probably know, I am Queen Trollbella of the Trollbling Kingdom. If you don't know, please ask the person sitting beside you to slap you, because I am known for many things in my kingdom. Beauty, intelligence, charisma, elegance, passion, but I am best known for bringing my nation together. Thanks to my brilliant leadership, what was once a territory of greedy trolls and obnoxious goblins is now a kingdom of respectable and sophisticated troblins. Tonight, you will see that transformation before your symmetrical human eyes in the life and times of Queen Trollbella.
Connor was already annoyed, and it was just the introduction. The audience sat on the edge of their seats. They were loving it. Trollbella dragged the microphone stand to the side of the stage and snapped at Commander Neuters to keep the spotlight on her. The curtains opened and revealed a dismal set depicting the troll and goblin territory. The merry men and the lost boys ran onto the stage in ridiculous costumes. The men were dressed in green and wore goblin ears over their own. The boys wore brown and headbands with horns. All of them looked very uncomfortable. I know, teething is such a cruel thing that has to happen to babies. So incredibly cruel. We're the goblins, the merry men announced. And we're the trolls, the lost boys said. The kingdom of man has forced us to live with the trolls, the merry men said. The kingdom of fairies has forced us to live underground with the goblins, the lost boys said. None of us are pleased about it, they all said together. Oh, the agony, Robin Hood said. Sorry, that wasn't in the script. I just thought this scene could use a little pizzazz. The merry men and the lost boys were terrible performers. Most of them stood motionless with dead eyes and said their lines like robots. Hi, my precious angel. I know you don't feel good. I know, it's not fun. Hi, baby. Hi.
Princess.
Hi. There's Boo.
Hi.
Who's my sweet angel? You want to sit in your chair for a minute and get all settled? Yeah. You want the book to go away? Here, let's sit for a second. You can sit in your chair and chill out. I understand, my angel. Here.
Oh, I just realized I left my water down there.
Oh, you're fine. You want to sit in your chair for a minute? Yeah. Here.
Whee! Can you get your foot in there?
who's sitting with you? Is that Boo? Say hi, Boo.
You still sleepy?
Yeah, she's just waking up. Oh, the agony, Robin Hood said. Sorry, that wasn't in the script. I just thought that the scene could use a little bit of pizzazz. I cannot believe that my husband thinks all of my male characters sound the same. There's no way that Connor and Robin Hood could ever be confused vocally. The Merry Men and the Lost Boys were terrible performers. Many of them stood motionless with dead eyes and said their lines like robots. Others put way too much effort into the characters and pranced around the stage. Some of them were terrified to be in front of an audience, and others enjoyed it entirely too much. Despite their problematic stage presence, they were enjoyable to watch. The children in the audience laughed at everything they said. Why don't we put aside our differences and form our own nation? Robin Hood said. Robin, you're skipping lines, Toodles said. Apologies, Robin Hood said. I am the Goblin King and I hate trolls. And I'm the Troll King and I hate goblins, Toodles said. How can we live underground? Now say it. Why don't we put aside our differences and form our own nation? Robin Hood asked. That's a good idea, Toodles said. We'll form the Troll and Goblin territory and we'll start our own society and we'll prove that we are not savage creatures. Hooray! The men and the boys said with very little enthusiasm. Trollbella cleared her throat to get the audience's attention. The trolls and the goblins lived harmoniously in the underground territory for many years until tragedy struck, she narrated. All the performers on the stage froze. They waited for something to happen, but nothing happened. I said, tragedy struck, Trollbella repeated. Brady girl, that's your cue. Sorry, I was texting, Whitney called from backstage, and then using her hair, Whitney lowered onto the stage 2 painted pillars that looked like rocks. The rocks gently touched Robin Hood and Toodles on the head. The actors fell to the floor and acted out dramatic death scenes. Toodles' performance was much simpler than Robin Hood's, who convulsed on the stage for almost 5 minutes before he laid still. Oh, goodbye, cruel world, Robin Hood shouted. That wasn't in the script either. I just believe that it is called an abbey lid. That's funny. Trollbella shot him a dirty look and then turned to the audience. Sometimes rocks fall on you and you just die. That's life, Trollbella said into the microphone. With the Troll King and the Goblin King both gone, the territory needed a new ruler. Red suddenly rose from the trap door in the center of the stage. She was dressed similarly to Trollbella, with horns and a brown dress. All the performers sang like an angelic chorus as she entered, but none of them could find the right note, nor could they harmonize. I'm the Troll King's only daughter, Trollbella, Red said. I'll be your new queen, and I'm going to guide you to prosperity, and, oh my god, what's the rest of my line? My heart is so full, Trollbella whispered to her. Oh my god, yeah, that's it, Red said. And my heart is so full, I cannot imagine needing anything else but the affection and gratitude of my people. Peter Pan suddenly flew across the stage wearing a large cardboard heart. It was completely unexpected, both by the audience and the other performers. The children pointed him out to one another. How could this boy fly? Not yet, Peter, Trollbella snipped and continued the narration. Although she thought her heart was full, the young queen soon realized that something was missing. There was a void in her life that the trolls and goblins could not fill. Jack stepped onto the stage dressed in jeans, sneakers, and a t-shirt. I'm the handsome butter boy, Jack announced. I'm the queen's soulmate. I just don't know it yet because I'm emotionally immature. Sorry, Connor. Connor was so embarrassed. He sank into his seat and he covered his face with his backpack. Trollbella was sporting a wide grin. This was her favorite part of the show. Red struck a theatrical pose with her hands over her heart. Be still, my heart, for I am in love, Red announced. Now, Peter, Trollbella whispered, and Peter soared out from backstage and flew in circles over the audience. The children laughed and clapped, and they reached up and tried to touch him. Connor was irritated by how much the kids were enjoying the show. Hello, Butterboy, Red said to Jack. Would you like to be my king and rule over the trolls and the goblins with me? Oh, how happy we would be together. Oh boy, that sounds wonderful, Jack said. How lucky am I to be loved by such a beautiful and brilliant queen. I'll never find anyone like her ever again. Nope, not once, no way, no how, not going to happen. I want to be with Trollbella for all eternity. Yeah, honey. I never said that, Connor shouted from his seat. She's totally making this up. Trollbella glared down at him from the stage.
If you get to tell stories, so do I.
Jack and Red ran towards each other in slow motion across the stage, and suddenly the lights began to flicker melodramatically. Goldilocks stomped onto the stage dressed as a large yellow toad with big warts and a purple beanie. Of all the performers, she looked the least excited to be there. I'm the terrible Brie monster, Goldilocks announced. My mission in life is to rid others of happiness, and I must keep Butterboy away from Queen Trollbella so their power of love doesn't inspire others. I'll bewitch Butterboy with a curse so that he thinks he has feelings for me, when in reality I'm so hideous that I cannot be loved by anyone. Oh, come on, Connor said. This is just ludicrous. The audience booed as Goldilocks dragged Jack off the stage, and Red lowered her head and pretended to cry.
After Butterboy was taken from her, Trollbella became very, very sad, Trollbella narrated. But luckily, the Troll Queen was so commonsensical that she bounced back quickly. She used her misfortune to create something positive. If I can't have my Butterboy, I'm going to put all of my energy into being the queen, Red said with a big smile. I'll help the trolls and goblins improve their image by combining them into, like, troblins. We'll turn our territory into a brand new kingdom so the world will see how much we've changed. The Troll Queen made the world a better place for the trolls. Sorry, that was not narration from me. That was narration from Trollbella. I apologize. Let's back up. The Troll Queen made the world a much better place for the trolls and the goblins, Trollbella said. Although it broke her heart to be away from her Butterboy, the distance taught the Queen a valuable lesson and the secret to success. When you can't have what you want, make the most out of what you have. A big sign at the end hung above the stage and then caught on fire. It burned "The End" as the curtain closed. Connor was so thankful that the show was over. Well, that was probably the worst piece of theater in the history of... But he was interrupted by thunderous applause coming from behind him. Connor turned around and saw every patient in the hospital was clapping ecstatically and smiling from ear to ear. Trollbella... Baby, can you clap? Can you clap for Trollbella? Say, yay! Yay, Trollbella! Yay, Trollbella! Did this get all turned around? Are you a little turny? Boop, boop, boop.
I think she's made at least 3 or 4 different turn laps.
Oh, this
so
is
far.
just, yeah. It's got turned on your neck, honey. There you go. Okay. Everybody clap for Trollbella. How lovely of her to put on a show for us all. Thank you, Trollbella, for your service to the Troblins. Trollbella's show might have been stupid and silly, but it was exactly what the audience needed. It gave the patients of St. Andrew's Children's Hospital a night off from their troubles and an evening of mindless fun. When the curtains opened again, Trollbella and her company reappeared and took a bow. The audience cheered loudly, and the patients who could stand gave them a standing ovation. The performers could feel the patients' gratitude, and the applause was there for them to bow again and again until the clapping stopped. And after the show, the characters came down off the stage and mingled with the audience. They took pictures, they signed autographs, they even did everything they could to make the patients feel special. The doctors and the nurses appreciated how the performers stayed in character while visiting with the children. They never suspected the actors were actually who they claimed to be. Dr. Jackson and Mr. and Mrs. Carmichael found Bob and Charlotte in the crowd and shook their hands. "Oh, thank you so much for such a unique performance," Mrs. Carmichael said. "It wasn't Shakespeare," Mr. Carmichael said. "But on the bright side, it wasn't Shakespeare." "I have never seen so many smiling faces in this hospital," Dr. Jackson said. "It was so kind of you to treat the children to a night of fun." "Oh, it was our pleasure," Charlotte said. "It's amazing what a good story can do." It was getting late, and the doctors and the nurses escorted the patients out of the multipurpose room and back to their own rooms. Toodles was a little confused about where to go, and he wandered off with the other children. Luckily, the twins spotted him before he went too far. "I'll get him," Alex told Connor. "Actually, it's probably best if I do a lap around the hospital to make sure he isn't the only one who wandered off. You should share your good news with the others." Alex followed Toodles out of the multipurpose room, and Connor waited until everybody but his parents had left. The characters from Starboardia, Galaxy Queen, and the Ziblings, as well as his friends from the fairy tale world, were there. He stood on a chair and whistled to get the group's attention. "Hey everybody, congratulations on a good show," Connor said. "Trollbella put together a really creative and totally fictional performance. You should all be really proud of yourselves."
"Fiction is a matter of opinion, Butterboy,"
Trollbella said and winked at him. Connor ignored her. Now I have some great news to share, he said. My mom and I went into my last story and recruited 1,000 mummified soldiers into our army. We finally have enough people to face the literary villains and take back the fairy tale world. Yeah! Baby, can you say, yeah! 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 Yay! Is mommy too silly? Huh? The characters erupted into cheers and applause of their own. Their spirits were already high from the performance, but this news sent their spirits soaring. Jack, Goldilocks, and Red shared a celebratory hug. Oh my god, that's fantastic, Red said. I was getting so tired of that commissary. Good job, my friend, Jack said and patted Connor on the back. Well done, Connor, Goldilocks said. We couldn't have done it without you! Her words turned into a scream and the room went silent. The color drained from her face and her mouth dropped open. Goldilocks looked at Jack and grabbed his hand. Goldie? Jack said. What is it? Jack, my water just broke, Goldilocks said. I'm going into labor. All the characters glanced at one another in panic. This was such an anticipated moment, but no one was really prepared for it. They were characters from a children's story. None of them knew how to deliver a baby. Quick, we're gonna need like scissors and boiling water and recycled paper, Red shouted. Or is that for paper mache? Trovella covered her eyes. Ew, keep it inside while I'm in the room, she said. I don't want to see a baby come out of you. I know, that's what she sounds like. Yeah, that's exactly right. Call the midwife and the wet nurse, Robin Hood yelled, but don't tell them that I sent you. Everyone calm down, Charlotte said. I'm a nurse. I know what to do. Bob, make some calls and see if there's an OBGYN close by, and I'll take her to the operating room of the new wing of the hospital and get her prepped. Got it, Bob said. Isn't Bob a doctor? Red asked. Can't he help? He's not that kind of doctor, Connor said. There are different kinds of doctors in the other world? Red asked. That just seems unnecessarily complicated to me. Bob immediately got on his phone and Charlotte quickly retrieved a wheelchair. They were in the room filled with cutthroat pirates, advanced cyborgs, and daring superheroes, but Charlotte was the one taking the situation by the horns. It was fun for Connor to watch his characters gawking at his mom. Just like he told her on the blimp, she was the true hero. I know, isn't that nice? Mommy's the hero in this story. Not your mommy, Connor's mommy. Very good, honey. Charlotte gently sat Goldilocks on the wheelchair and pushed her down the hall. Jack held Goldilocks' hand as they traveled and Red followed. Oh no. Oh no, the baby's like, why is this other person with you? Because you're her auntie. You guys stay here, Connor told his characters. When Alex gets back, you tell her where we are. Good luck, all the characters said together, and Connor ran down the hall and caught up with the others. Goldilocks, how's the pain? Charlotte asked. Not terrible, actually, Goldilocks said. The contractions aren't nearly as bad as I was expecting. Never mind, they're really bad. They're really, really, really bad. Ouch. My hand, Jack cried. Thank goodness that you're in a children's hospital, Goldie, Red said. I can't imagine a better place in the world to have a baby. Good time.
Whoa.
Wow, honey. Wow.
Do I need to come back?
So
I'm
big.
sorry.
So big. Good sounds. And she's like, don't hug ever any other children. That's right. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Oh,
I'm
Boo's
sorry.
gonna sit with you because she loves you so much. Yeah, get it.
Thank goodness you're in a children's hospital, Goldie, Red said. I can't even imagine a better place in the world to have a baby. Like, what good timing.
Red, babies aren't born in children's hospitals, Connor said. They're usually delivered at standard hospitals.
Okay, this absolutely makes no sense, Red said. This world is so totally backwards.
They traveled through St. Andrews to the operating room in the new wing of the hospital. Connor ran ahead and held the doors open for the others to enter. And when they went into the operating room, there were 3 people waiting inside, 2 of whom were the last people that Connor was expecting to see. Bree? Emmerich? Connor said in shock. What are you doing here? His friends were standing with an old woman that no one recognized. Connor could instantly tell that Bree and Emmerich were not their normal selves. They both looked pale, exhausted, and frightened. Connor, Bree said frantically, I did not know you would be here too. Bree, what are you guys doing here? Connor asked. Is something wrong? And then Bree burst into tears. I'm so sorry, she cried. I didn't want to bring him, but I had no choice. Then the door slammed shut and locked behind them. Connor, Charlotte, Jack, Goldilocks, and Red turned around and saw the masked man standing behind them. He had a crazed look in his eyes, and he raised a revolver toward them. Tonight's surprises were just getting started. This is bad. This is really bad. But we're gonna keep going.
Really like the tippy tappy fingers.
Oh yeah, she's an ASMR girly. Chapter 26 is called Alex, Alone. Alex found Toodles before he wandered into the St. Andrew's ICU and escorted him back to the multi-purpose room. Alex completed a quick round of the hospital, and the lost boy appeared to be the only character who strayed from the group. Right before Alex rejoined the others in the multi-purpose room, she saw something at the corner of her eye. It was a woman with horns entering the restroom down the hall. Alex could have sworn that Troll Bella was with the others when she left, but she decided to inspect the bathroom just to be sure. Who else would have horns in this hospital? Alex searched the woman's restroom but didn't find the Troll Queen anywhere. Trollbella, Alex asked, was that you? And Morena suddenly lunged out of the bathroom stall and blew a handful of magic dust directly into Alex's face. Alex was so startled that she gasped, breathing the dust into her lungs. She coughed like she was choking on poisonous gas, and her eyes watered like she had been hit with pepper spray. What have you done to me? She cried. Oh, I've enhanced you, Marina said with a wicked smile, and Alex collapsed on the floor and tried to recuperate, but she couldn't catch her breath or stop crying. The witch stared down at Alex like a vulture waiting for its prey to die. That's it, Marina said. Let it sink in. Let it course through your veins. Let it consume you. The coughing and the tears eventually subsided, but the irritation was replaced by even harsher symptoms. Alex was filled with more anger than she had ever felt in her entire life. She tried to fight the magic manipulating her emotions, but the struggle only infuriated her even more. Why was her life a constant battle? Why did she have to fight so hard? Why did she always have to save so many others? To comfort herself, Alex thought of the people that she loved, but the dust wouldn't let Alex feel love. The visions of her friends and family flashed before her eyes, and the spell convinced her that they all secretly hated her and wished that she would disappear. She thought her brother resented her, that her mother was ashamed of her, that her grandmother had died disappointed in her, that her father had died as an excuse to abandon her. Alex grabbed the sink and pulled herself to her feet. She looked into the mirror but didn't see her own reflection. No, Alex saw the face of a complete failure. The dust altered not only her perception of the world, but also how she viewed herself. She saw a girl who didn't deserve affection, who was unworthy of success, and who was incapable of anything but making mistakes. She wasn't going to save her friends, she wasn't going to defeat the literary army, and she wasn't going to save the fairy tale world. It would fall apart just like everything else in her life, and Alex had only herself to blame. Do you feel that anger boiling up inside of you? Marina asked. Let it grow, let it shape you, let it blind you, and let it become you. The bathroom walls and the floor started to shake, and the lights flickered, and Alex's eyes began to glow. Her hair rose above her head like flames in slow motion. She disappeared from her body, and the magic transformed her into someone else entirely. Whoa. That is savage. That is savage.
You laughing at my faces?
We only have about 20 pages left. I bet we could finish it. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I know, it says 30 minutes on the Kindle, but like I wonder if I could read it faster. Because like sometimes I can do double time.
Especially if it's a fight scene.
And it might be a fight scene because this chapter is called The Cemetery of the Undead. Whoa! Chapter 27 is called The Cemetery of the Undead. Well, this is a physical book, but Nais is giving us numbers from the Kindle. Because that's how it tells you like how much time is left, but I'm reading it on a paper book. Yeah. I think I can. Let's go and let's see if we can do it in 20 minutes. Connor was so stunned to see the masked man in the hospital that he lost his train of thought. He didn't stop to wonder what Bree and Emmerich were doing with the masked man, how they got there, or who the old woman was that was with them. All he could think about was getting his friends and his mom away from such a dangerous man. They said you were dead, Connor said. Well, I lived to see another day, the masked man said. Sorry to disappoint you. Charlotte looked at the masked man like she was seeing a ghost. Despite his injuries, his tattered clothes, he was the spitting image of her late husband. Alex and Connor tried so carefully to keep his existence a secret from their mother, but the disturbing reality was right in front of her face. Mom, this man is not Dad, Connor said. It's his younger brother Lloyd. He's a criminal from the fairy tale world. Do not believe a word he... I know who he is, Connor, Charlotte said. Your father told me all about him before you were born. I'm so sorry that you even know about him. Your father never wanted you to find out that you were related to such a terrible person. You're not the only person that he's related to, Connor said. Emmerich is the masked man's son. He's the child the masked man had with Bo Peep. The information was so unexpected that Connor felt like he'd been slapped. He remembered the story that Hagetta had told him and his sister about Bo Peep hiding a child from his father, but this was so long before they discovered who the masked man really was that Connor had forgotten all about the child until this moment. I guess that makes us cousins, Emmerich said. This has turned into quite a family affair, the masked man said, but I'm afraid you will not remember this as a pleasant reunion. What do you want from us? Connor said, and the masked man grunted. Teenagers, he sneered. You always both think the world revolves around you. To be frank, dear nephew, you are quite useless to me. Then what do you want with Alex, I guess? Connor asked. Yeah, he's not here for your sister either, Bree said. He's come to the hospital to take your mom. Me? Charlotte said. What could you possibly want with me? I'm in need of an otherworld nurse, the masked man said. You see, the medical knowledge of the fairy tale world isn't advanced like it is here, and I'm in the market for a complicated procedure. Goldilocks moaned as another contraction began. This woman is about to have a baby, Charlotte said. Can we please, we need to get her a doctor immediately. Yeah, what a coincidence. I'm gonna need a lift out of the hospital, the masked man said. I thought I'd have to give the old woman here a bullet wound to do it, but a mother-to-be, that's even more convenient. You will not lay a finger on her, Jack yelled. And Jack charged toward him, but the masked man fired his gun into the air and Jack froze. That was my only warning, the masked man said. I will not waste another bullet. That goes for all of you. Their captor was growing visibly impatient. His most recent scheme was so close to fruition that he could almost taste it. He paced around the room and gave his hostages more insight into what he had in store. So listen, this is what's going to happen, the masked man said. Charlotte's going to collect the things from this room, whatever she needs to perform a blood transfusion. And then she, Emmerich, and myself are going to escort Goldilocks down to the emergency room. We're going to tell the paramedics that Goldilocks needs to be transferred to another medical facility. As they unload her into their ambulance, we're going to steal it. And then we're going to drive far away, where Charlotte will transfer my son's blood, into my own veins until there isn't a drop left in that boy. His plan was so barbaric, it took Connor a moment to even understand the reasoning behind it. Uh-oh. Do you need your giraffe? This is the mommy giraffe. She's the only one who can't stand up. If Emmerich is your son, that means there's magic in his blood, Connor thought aloud. So you want his blood so you can regain your own powers? You're so obsessed with power that you're willing to kill your own son? I'm willing to kill more than my son if I have to, the masked man warned. I am not draining your son's blood, Charlotte said, and the masked man pointed his gun at Connor. Fine, I'll find a way to convince you, he said, and the tense silence was broken by another painful cry as Goldilocks' contractions increased. It's okay, Charlotte, Emmerich said. I'm not scared. I would rather he hurt me than anyone else. I'm sure it will feel just like falling asleep. Charlotte would have sacrificed herself before harming a child, but Emmerich had given the nurse an idea. The masked man nudged her toward the supply cabinet as she collected syringes, gauze, bags, surgical tape, and other equipment. Charlotte put everything that she needed for a blood transfusion into a large bag and pocketed a little something extra.
Everyone else lie on the floor, the masked man ordered. Emmerich, take those ace bandages out of the cupboard and tie their hands and feet together. Make sure the knots are tight. I'm gonna check before we leave.
With no alternative options in sight, Connor, Jack, Cornelia, Red, and Bree did as the masked man demanded. Emmerich tied their hands tightly behind their back and their feet together. The masked man inspected his son's knot to make sure that they would last. Once he was satisfied, he tucked the revolver under his sling, making a point of showing his hostages that it was hidden, but easily accessible if he needed it to be.
All right, now let's go,
he said. And Charlotte wheeled Goldilocks out of the room with a bag of supplies as they headed toward the emergency room. The masked man pushed Emmerich out of the door and they followed the women. The others left the operating room but struggled against the others that were left in the operating room struggled against the bandages with all their might, but they wouldn't budge. Hey Liz, how are you feeling?
We have to do something, Jack said desperately. Goldilocks is about to give birth. Who knows what that madman might do to her?
Help us! Cornelia yelled. Help us? Oh my god, let me try, Red said. No offense, but like an attractive young blonde is so much more likely to get an answer. Help us! Can somebody help us?
Guys, we're the only people in an empty hospital wing, Connor said. No one can hear us. We have to stop him, Bree said. He's gonna kill Emmerich if we don't.
You see, this is why I'm not close to any of my own relatives, Red said. Families are nuts. They give you life, and then you're lucky if you can even survive them.
Red's rant inadvertently reminded Connor of something in his bag, something that they could use. Survival, he said happily. That's it. Feeling better than I was. Obviously, it's sucky, but I have dinner plans today that I'm going to. Oh, that's exciting. Charlotte had packed Swiss Army knives in the twins' backpack before they left for Starbordia, and thankfully the masked man hadn't instructed Connor to take his backpack off before he was tied up. If he could just reach around and get the knife inside of it, he might be able to cut himself free. Connor rolled onto his back with his tied hands, painfully reached up into the backpack's front pouch, and just when it felt like he was about to break his arms, he pried the zipper open with his fingertips. Bree, see if you can find a Swiss Army knife inside my bag, Connor said, and they shuffled around the floor until they were back to back. Bree was able to remove the small knife from his backpack. I got it, Bree said, and she unfolded it. Stay still. I'm going to cut the bandages around your wrists. She sawed the blade against Connor's bandages until she cut through them, and once Connor's hands were free, he removed the bandages from his feet and sliced them off the others. They helped one another to their feet and ran out of the operating room, but Cornelia stayed behind. Cornelia, are you coming? Bree asked. I can't keep up, Cornelia said. You go get him before it's too late. I'll call Wanda and Frenda and let them know where we are. You've been canceling for 3 months. That's funny, Liz. Cornelia, go to the multi-purpose room, Connor said. Find my sister and tell her what's happened. Her name is Alex and she looks kind of like me. I will, the old woman said. Now hurry. Connor, Bree, Jack, and Red ran through the hospital as fast as they could. They followed the signs to the emergency room and pushed past the people waiting in the lobby. They ran out to the driveway where the ambulances were parked. They arrived just in time to see the 2 paramedics loading Goldilocks into the back of an ambulance. Ambulance?
It's better than calling it a weeboo.
Into the back of the wee-woo. As soon as they shut the doors behind her, the ambulance screeched down the driveway, and the paramedics watched helplessly as the vehicle was stolen in plain sight. They ran inside the hospital to call the police, and as the ambulance passed Connor and the others, they saw the masked man at the wheel and Charlotte and Emmerich sitting in the front seat beside him. The driveway curved around the hospital like a horseshoe. If Connor ran straight ahead, he might be able to stop the ambulance, but then what? What would he have that would stop a speeding vehicle? As soon as he thought of the question, the answer hit him like a bolt of lightning at the Eiffel Tower. They're getting away, Bree yelled. I do have a baby. Yep, she's sitting right here. She's 10 months old yesterday. Oh, no, they're not, Connor said, and he ran across the driveway and retrieved a binder of short stories from his backpack. He flipped it open to the very last page and dived in front of the ambulance. Just before the vehicle ran him over, the beam of light hit the ambulance and disappeared into his short story. Ambulance! Jack and Red sighed with relief. They couldn't believe that Connor had just pulled this off. Bree had no clue what had just happened, but she was amazed by what she saw. Come on, Connor said. You have to follow me. With no time to lose, Connor jumped into the beam of light and his friends followed him inside. Since he had opened the binder to the very last page, Connor was certain that the ambulance had sent them into the adventures of Blimp Boy. He expected to see an Egyptian desert and the pyramids of Anesthesia, but Connor didn't recognize the world around him at all. In fact, he had never seen the strange environment that they landed in. not even in his own imagination. They were standing on a tall knoll surrounded by rolling hills and dark soil. A full moon peeked through the dark clouds, and a misty fog hung in the air. In the distance, they saw a tall wrought iron fence at the perimeter of an enormous and very eerie cemetery. The fence guarded a sea of Gothic tombstones and fog beyond the graves. They could make out a forest of stone mausoleums. The tombstones were so old that they cracked, covered in mildew, and their engravings were virtually illegible. That's not even... I don't even know that word. They were decorated in crucifixes, macabre statues of angels and the Grim Reaper, and even though the fog distorted the view, the cemetery seemed as endless as the deserts of Egypt. There wasn't a sign of life anywhere. There were no trees, no grass or flowers, only tombstones for miles and miles around. Connor, were you in like a really bad mood when you wrote this story?
Red said. This isn't my story, Connor said. I never wrote anything like this.
And suddenly they saw something moving across the graveyard. A red fox was prancing around the tombstones. The animal batted its eyes and twirled its tail flirtatiously, almost as if it were trying to lure them into the cemetery. Bree recognized the fox and rubbed her eyes to make sure that she wasn't seeing things. Connor, where was that beam of light supposed to take us? Bree asked.
It should have transported us into one of my short stories,
He explained. We've been using the portal potion to travel into my writing, but I have no clue where it's taken us this time. And Bree gulped nervously. I do, she said. This is my story. We're in the cemetery of the undead. I wrote this in 8th grade. Connor tried to make sense of the situation. How could they be in one of Bree's stories? I got my stories from Mrs. Peters, Connor said. She must have mixed your writing in with mine when she gave them to me. It's been in the back of my binder the whole time. I didn't have a divider between them, so the portal potion must have just seeped through my writing and into yours. Traveling into his own stories had been a jarring experience for Connor, but at least he knew where he was going. He couldn't imagine how Bree felt after accidentally stumbling into a world of her own imagination with no prior warning. Look over there, Jack said and pointed. And they saw tire tracks and followed them into the cemetery. The ambulance had crashed into the fence just beside a wide open gate. I'm going to go stop the beeping before we all lose our minds, and I'll be right back.
Okay. No, don't eat it. Can I have that? No? Okay.
It's the worst sound on the planet, and it never stops on its own because the dishwasher is enchanted with demons.
I almost got a belly laugh.
Oh, you got your tape. Wow. As long as you don't put it in your mouth, you can keep it. All right, let's keep going, shall we, sweetheart? Don't put it in your mouth or we have to take it away, but if you keep it in your hands, you can keep it. You're doing great. You want to hand it to me? I'll take it. No, you want to keep it. Fine. They checked the vehicle, but it was empty, and a moan came from somewhere in the graveyard, and they ran toward it. Goldie, Jack shouted, we're coming! They found Goldilocks on the ground a few hundred feet inside the graveyard. She was leaning against a tombstone with beads of sweat covering her forehead, and she was breathing deeply. Jack knelt beside her and held her hand. The masked man, she panted. I couldn't keep up. They left me here. He took Emmerich and Charlotte somewhere over there. I didn't see which one they went inside. Goldilocks pointed to the mausoleums, but there were hundreds of them. Finding Emmerich and Charlotte among them was going to be like finding a needle in a haystack. Let's get you back to the hospital, Jack said, and he tried to get Goldilocks to stand, but she couldn't move. My contractions are too close together, Goldilocks said. I can't stand. This baby's being born right here. I know. It's crazy, right? Mommy remembers this. Jack and the others exchanged fearful looks. Goldilocks needed help. You guys stay here with Goldie, Connor told them. I'm going to go find Emmerich and my mom. As soon as I get them away from the masked man, I'm going to send my mom here to help you. I'm coming with you, Bree said. You can't. It's too dangerous, Connor said. Connor, I know you're used to being the hero of your own stories, but this is my story, Bree said. I know this cemetery like the back of my hand. Besides, we only have 20 minutes until midnight. We have to get everyone out of here. What happens at midnight? Red asked, and Bree looked frightened. The characters come out, she said. What is wrong with you writers? Red yelled. If you wrote instruction manuals, we wouldn't have this problem. Goldilocks moaned and squeezed Jack's hand. They didn't have time before the baby was going to arrive. Connor and Bree ran into the cemetery and searched the mausoleums one by one. The masked man had taken Emmerich and Charlotte deep into the cemetery and forced them inside the mausoleum with the stained glass windows, and a statue had fallen off the roof of an angel. He sat his son on the casket inside as Charlotte prepared the equipment for the blood transfusion. The masked man kept a watchful eye over the nurse and a steady grip on his revolver as she worked. To keep up appearances, Charlotte drew blood from Emmerich and let it fill a small bag. Emmerich watched as the blood drained from his body as if it were sand pouring out of his own personal hourglass. "If you see my mom, will you please tell her I love her?" the little boy sniffled. "You can tell her yourself, I promise," Charlotte whispered and winked at the young boy. And next, the nurse prepared the masked man's IV. She made it as unpleasant for him as possible. She forcefully straightened his broken arm and stuck him with the dullest needle she had. "Easy," he barked. And Charlotte put a small vial out of her pocket and filled the syringe with its clear liquid. She started injecting the solution into the masked man's IV, but he became suspicious. And he stopped her. "Hey, what's that?" the man snarled. "It's just saline," Charlotte said. "It's to prevent infection." "I don't want you putting anything inside my veins except that child's blood." "I can't put his blood directly into your system until the area is sterilized," Charlotte said. "If you don't want me to do my job correctly, then there's no point in leaving the fairy tale world." The masked man glared at her. He held his revolver a little tighter and he allowed her to proceed. Charlotte injected the solution into his arm and watched him closely. The masked man suddenly felt very tired. His eyelids became heavy, and the small mausoleum started to spin round and around. He had been tricked. Charlotte had injected him not with saline, but with a sedative. "You wench!" the masked man yelled and raised his revolver. Charlotte twisted his broken arm, and the masked man shrieked in agony. He dropped the gun and scrambled to the floor to retrieve it. Charlotte threw the IV pole into the stained glass window, and it shattered. She and Emmerich quickly crawled through it just as the masked man got to his gun. He shot at them, but the sedative made him a lousy shot, and he missed. The bullet ricocheted off the mausoleum stone wall and hit him in his right leg. He screamed in pain. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right, honey? Can you get more tape? Can you get more tape? Look. What's this? Connor and Bree were searching the mausoleums nearby when they heard the sounds of broken glass, gunfire, and screaming. "Mom!" Connor gasped. "Emmerich!" Bree screamed, and they ran toward the sound, praying that nothing had happened to either of them. A dark and foggy graveyard was scary by itself, but knowing that there was a dangerous man lurking with a gun nearby had Connor and Bree feeling like they were in a real-life horror movie. They jumped at every statue they saw, afraid that it was the masked man looming in the fog. Luckily, they ran into Charlotte first. "Mom!" Connor said. "Oh, thank God you're okay. Where's Emmerich?" Charlotte's eyes darted around the cemetery. He was right beside me a moment ago," she said. "We escaped from your uncle, but we got separated in the fog." Another scream echoed through the cemetery, but this time it was coming from Goldilocks. "Mom, you have to go and help her," Connor said. "Bree and I will find Emmerich." From the look in her eyes, Connor knew that leaving Bree and him alone was the last thing his mother wanted to do. "We'll be fine," Connor said. "Right now, Goldilocks needs you more." Charlotte was torn between her own obligations as a mother and her duties as a nurse, but she had to remind herself she wasn't the mother of a normal child. She knew that Connor was more capable of taking care of himself than anyone. He had proven that time and time again. "I love you, sweetheart," Charlotte said. "Be safe." She hugged her son and kissed him on the cheek, and then Charlotte followed Goldilocks' moans to the front of the graveyard and prepared to deliver a child. Connor and Bree hurried in the opposite direction to look for their friend. "Emmerich," Bree whispered, "where are you?" They found Emmerich crouching behind a tombstone. He was trembling and looking around with large, frightened eyes. The fog was the thickest in this part of the cemetery, and he hadn't been able to tell who Bree and Connor were until they were just a few feet away from him. "Oh, there you are," Bree said. "Connor! Bree!" Emmerich cried with relief. "Where is Charlotte?" "She went back to help Goldilocks," Connor said. "Come on, we gotta get you out of here." "Not so fast," a voice shouted behind them. Connor and Bree slowly turned around and saw the masked man was creeping toward them. He was in the worst shape of his life. His limp was much worse now that he had a sprained ankle and a bullet wound on the same leg. His clothes were covered in blood. He had a sedative that made bags under his eyes droopier than usual. He was fighting off the medication with all his remaining strength. "The boy is coming with me," the masked man yelled, and Connor stood between his uncle and Emmerich. "No one's going anywhere with you," Connor said. "You stupid, stupid boy," the masked man said. "Get out of my way or I'll shoot." "Go ahead," Connor said. "You'll never be satisfied with how many people you kill or how powerful you become, and if I can't stop you, my sister will. Good luck facing her when she finds out that you've killed me." The masked man ignored Connor and pointed his gun at his nephew's head. "Give my regards to your father when you see him." Just as he was about to press his finger against the trigger, they were all startled by a loud scraping sound. The lids of 3 stone caskets nearby were pushed open, and the corpses inside suddenly stood up from their graves.
What is going on? Connor whispered to Bree, and she glanced down at her watch. It's midnight, she said. All the bodies in the cemetery come back to life for a few minutes every night to stretch their legs and visit with each other. It's supposed to be like a morbid representation of what break time is like in a public high school. All 3 corpses were women, and although in Bree's story they were less decomposed than they would have been in real life, each had obviously been dead for a really long while. Their skin was so pale, it was a shade of blue, and there were dark circles under their eyes, and parts of their bones stuck out of their skin. The women wore very specific clothing from different eras in history. The first woman wore early 15th century armor. Her skin was partially burned. The second woman wore a dress with wide sleeves and a necklace with the letter B, and a headband with a long veil. The third woman wore an enormous ball gown and lots of jewelry and had a towering white wig. The 2 women in dresses also had stitches around their necks as if they had been detached from their bodies and sewn back on. Who are they? Connor asked. And why do they look so familiar? This area of the cemetery is called the Wronged Women's Row, Bree said. These are the women that I thought had unfair deaths in history. That's Joan of Arc, Anne Boleyn, and Marie Antoinette. The historical figures stretched and yawned as they came back to life. It's like they were waking from a long nap rather than coming back from the dead. I just adore our nightly stretches, Joan of Arc said. Don't you, Anne? Well, it certainly gives us something to live for, Anne Boleyn giggled. I know what I always say, Marie Antoinette said. That is what you make of it, just like everything else. It's all in the execution. The corpses laughed wildly amongst themselves. Apparently, nothing tickled them more than jokes about their own mortality. The women had turned to a 4th casket in their row whose occupant hadn't risen yet. It looks like Beau isn't sleeping again, Joan of Arc said. She better wake... I don't know why I can't get the voices right. I'm so sorry. She'd better... In every job that must be done. There we go. She better wake up and stretch. Otherwise, she'll be very stiff tomorrow, Anne Boleyn said. Oh, Beau, darling, Marie Antoinette called into the casket. It's midnight, dear. Come out and join us. The lid on the casket slid open, and a 4th corpse stood up in her grave. She wore a dainty dress and a bonnet and held a staff. She must have been the most recently departed, because she was far less decomposed than the other corpses were. I don't know why that's happening, Naisa, but it just is. Hi, baby angel. Can you take this off? Can you take this off? Pull the tape off. Yeah, good job. Sorry, girls, I was sleeping, counting sheep, the woman said. It helps me pass the time between stretches. What's your count up to now? Joan of Arc asked. 28,974,863, the woman said. Connor recognized this woman immediately. It caught him completely off guard because he thought he would never see her again, even in a fictional story. That's Bo Peep, Connor whispered to Bree. You put her in the cemetery of the undead? This must be my second draft, Bree said. I was so upset by how Bo Peep died that I added her to the story. As strange as it was to see their deceased acquaintance, it was nothing compared to how Emmerich felt at the sight of his birth mother. He had hundreds of questions that he wanted to ask, but he was too afraid to speak. Seeing her corpse come to life made the masked man feel like he had stepped into a nightmare. He couldn't tell if she was really there or if she was a hallucination brought on by the sedative he'd been given. Bo Peep? He asked in shock, and all the undead women turned to the sound of his voice. It was their first time realizing that they had visitors in their row. Bo Peep was enraged to see him. Lloyd, she yelled, and the other corpse gasped. Is that the man you were telling us about, Bo? Joan of Arc asked. Yeah, he is, Bo Peep said. He's the one who used me, tricked me, and broke my heart. He's the whole reason I'm even in this cemetery. I would be alive right now if it weren't for him. And look, he's not alone, Anne Boleyn pointed out. There are 3 young people with him. I know them too, Bo Peep said. What are the 3 of you doing with a man like him? I promise we're not with him by choice, Connor said. He's holding us hostage. Hearing this angered Bo Peep to no end. She stepped out of her casket and charged toward the masked man. He had never been so terrified in his entire life. He aimed his revolver at her, but it didn't stop her from approaching him. Don't come any closer or I'll shoot, he warned her. You can't hurt me anymore, Bo Peep said, and she reached toward him with her cold, dead hands, and the masked man shot at her using the 3rd and final bullet in the revolver. Bo Peep looked down at the bullet hole in her torso, but it only infuriated her more. Kill me once? Shame on you. Kill me twice. Shame on me. Get away, the masked man said. I'm warning you. Your threats are as empty as your soul, Bo Peep said, and the masked man hobbled away from her as quickly as his injured leg would allow. He wasn't paying attention to where he was going, though, and he fell right into an empty, unmarked grave. He tried to climb out of it, but dozens of decaying hands suddenly stuck up from the dirt below him and grabbed him. They pulled his legs, his arms, and his clothes, and brought him down into the ground with them. Unhand me at once, you demons, the masked man yelled, and he screamed, trying to free himself, but there were too many for him to fight. The more he struggled, the more hands appeared. Even after he was completely underground, his screaming could still be heard from above, but the sound of his voice became fainter and fainter as he was pulled deeper and deeper into the earth. When the noise finally disappeared completely, an engraving appeared on the tombstone. Here lies Lloyd Bailey, beloved by no one. As much as Connor hated the masked man, it was still a terrifying thing to witness. He wondered if his uncle was really gone for good, but then he turned to Bree, and she looked just as frazzled as he did. Bree's story of the undead was taking on a life of its own. Hey, Isabella. Well, that was all the excitement I can handle for one night, Joan of Arc said. 'Tis time for us to go back to sleep, Anne Boleyn said with a yawn. See you girls tomorrow night, Marie Antoinette said. Same time, same place for all eternity. The women laid back down in their graves, and they pulled lids over their casket, tucking themselves in for a good night's rest. Bo Peep wandered back to her casket, but Bree stopped her before she stepped inside. Bo, Bree said, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do, but if I were you, I would want to know. This is a really difficult thing to say, so I guess I'll just spit it out. Emmerich is your son. Bo Peep stared at the young boy in bewilderment. If she still had a pulse, it would have been racing. If she still needed to breathe, she would have been breathless. My son? She asked. Yes, Emmerich said. Hagetta said that she'd find you a good home. What's this, honey?
That's so true, yelling at.
Yeah. Hagetta said she would find you a good home. Did she find you a good home? She did, he said. I have a mother, an adoptive mother who loves me very much. Dill. I vote Dill. Irene, I vote Dill. Yeah. And make a yogurt dip for it. Yeah. Henny, look. Look right here. Can you pull this one? Yeah, very good. That's really good to hear, Bo Peep said. Knowing that, I might finally be able to rest instead of counting sheep. Emmerich eyed Lloyd's grave. Is my father ever coming back? He said. Not from where he's going, Bo Peep said. He'll never harm you or anyone else ever again. Oh, look, everyone's voting for Dill. Wow, we got a lot of Dill votes here. Okay. Bo Peep removed a small necklace from around her neck and placed it in her son's hand. Bree and Emmerich remembered her showing it to them while they traveled down the secret path with the royals the year before. It had a thin chain and a small stone with a heart with a crack in it. Here, this is something to remember me by, Bo Peep said. You seem like a kind child. I'm sorry I didn't get to raise you myself, but you were better off with your adoptive mother. I was too young, too foolish to be a mother, and you didn't deserve to inherit my mistakes. I understand, Emmerich said. Good night, Emmerich, she said. I hope we see each other tonight in our dreams. Bo Peep laid back into her casket and pulled the lid over her body. Bree put her arm around Emmerich as he watched her go. Once she was gone, he looked down at the necklace and held it tightly in his hand. Speaking of mothers, Connor said, we should probably go find my mom and the others. Connor, Bree, and Emmerich hurried into the front of the cemetery to regroup with their friends. The closer they got, the louder and clearer the other voices became. Push, Goldilocks! Push! They heard Charlotte shout. Push! Push! Ah! Goldilocks grunted. You can do it, Goldie, Jack encouraged his wife. You're almost there. I can see the head, Charlotte declared. Just one more push. Oh my God, what even is that thing? Red screamed the loudest of all. Oh my God, I am so totally never having children. Soon, the sounds of a crying infant echoed through the cemetery. By the time Connor, Bree, and Emmerich found the others, Goldilocks and Jack were the proud parents of a healthy and beautiful baby boy. And there wasn't a dry eye in the bunch. Charlotte cleaned the baby off and wrapped him in towels she found in the ambulance. He had his mother's golden curls and his father's strong chin and his Aunt Red's doe-eyed expression. Jack, we're parents, Goldilocks said tearfully. We have a son. We're officially a family, Jack said affectionately. Oh my God, we did it, Red said happily and burst into tears. Oh my gosh, I only wish that Charlie was here to see this. Although she had nothing to do with creating this child, she hugged Jack and Goldilocks as if she too were a new parent. "What are you going to name him?" Connor asked. "Hero," Goldilocks said confidently. "That way, it won't matter where he's from, what he becomes, or who his parents are. He'll always be the hero of his own story." Aww.
You got it. Yay.
All right, there's only 3 pages left. I think we should just do it. Right, baby? You can handle this, right? I believe in you. Chapter 28 is called A Situation. As soon as they stepped through the beam of light and returned to the other world, Charlotte and Jack took Goldilocks and Hero to the St. Andrew's emergency room to be examined by a doctor. Connor, Bree, Emmerich, and Red went straight to the multi-purpose room to tell the others what had happened in the cemetery of the undead and to share the good news of Goldilocks and Jack's son. Connor figured that Cornelia must have spread the word about the masked man because everyone in the multi-purpose room had a long and somber face and seemed worried sick. Even the Blissworm's smile wasn't as pronounced as it usually was. Bree and Emmerich were a little overwhelmed by all the people that they didn't know, but they could have sworn that they recognized them. "Connor," Bob shouted, "are you all right? Where's your mother?" "Everything is fine. We're all safe," Connor said. "Mom's in the emergency room with Jack and Goldilocks. They have a son, and they named him Hero. They're just getting him checked out to make sure that everything's okay." "And what about that terrible man?" Cornelia said. "The masked man is gone," Connor said, "and this time he's not coming back." This news wasn't as comforting as Connor thought it was going to be. In fact, the expressions of the characters around the room didn't change. They didn't even seem excited by the news of the baby. "Guys, what's wrong?" he asked. "You all look like someone died." The characters parted, and Connor realized that they were gathered around the Tin Woodman. He sat in a chair beside Bluebow, the small flying monkey. The monkey was distraught, and his eyes were puffy from crying. "Bluebow?" Connor asked. "What are you doing here? And why aren't you in the fairy tale world with the others?" "Hi, baby angel. Can you pull this one off? We're almost done. You're being so well behaved." "Yeah, can you pull this one? Look, what's this? What's this?" "We wanted to share the good news about completing our army with the others back in the mine," the Tin Woodman said. "So we traveled through the Emerald Storybook, but when we arrived, they were all gone. Everyone in the mine had been turned into stone. Bluebow was the only one who wasn't affected." Connor shook his head as if he were trying to clear it out of words that he didn't want to hear. "What?" he said. "You mean the royal families, the animals, the citizens, Hagetta, the tradesmen?" "They were all statues," Robin Hood said, "still as rock and pale as bone." "Oh no. Granny," Red gasped. "What happened to them?"
Right after you left the mine, we were attacked by a horrible monster.
Bluebow sniffed.
I was so afraid I hid and I covered my eyes. I never even got a good look at it.
Connor had an idea of what happened. "The creature that turned the fairy council into stone must have found a way into the mine," he said. "Look at this." "Wow, so pretty." He walked in a circle around the room, wondering what to do next. Apparently, he had left one crisis only to stumble onto another. He looked for his sister, but he didn't see her. "Has anyone seen Alex?" Connor asked. "She hasn't been here since I arrived," Cornelia said. "I'll check and see if she's in the bathroom," Red said, and Red left the room and sprinted down the hall. As soon as she opened the door of the women's restroom, she let out a blood-curdling scream. "Connor!" Red yelled. "Come quick! You gotta see this right away!" He was already headed down the hall before she finished her sentence. As Connor dashed down the hall, all the characters followed him. Whatever Red had found was so bad that she didn't even need to step inside the bathroom to see it. The Queen held the door open and stared inside in total shock. Connor arrived at her side and peered into the bathroom, but there wasn't a bathroom to see. He looked up at the night sky and the other buildings outside. He looked up and saw an empty office above. Really? Oh, all done? Do you want to go in the playpen? Will that be better? Should we go in the playpen? You want to go? Here. 1, 2. Boom. Can you sit down? Can we sit down? Okay. Honey, can you sit down? Oh, honey, just sit down. Ready? 1, 2. Can you sit down, sweetheart? Oh, okay, you want mommy to hold you. Okay. Okay, here we go. Mommy will hold you. Yeah. You want to sit in mommy's lap right here? You can sit right here. There you go. We'll read together. How about that? Okay, we're going to read together.
Let's see. Connor arrived at her side and peered into the bathroom, but there wasn't a bathroom to see. He saw the night sky and other buildings outside. He looked up and saw an empty office building above, and then he looked down and looked into a deserted basement below. There was drywall, sparkling electrical wires, and broken water faucets. And then it looked to him like an explosion had gone off. Even though there was no evidence that Alex had caused it, or even that she had been present for it, Connor knew in the pit of his stomach that this had something to do with his sister. Hey, baby. Alex, Connor said. Ooh, did we swallow our spit? Did we swallow our spit? Alex, Connor said, what has happened to you? New scene. President of the United States, Catherine Walker, was sitting in the Oval Office of the West Wing with 2 foreign ambassadors. Gentlemen, President Walker said, I understand that this is a difficult time for the Prime Minister and the Sultan to agree on, to agree on a location, but I'm not going to sit here all day while innocent people suffer because of your negligence. If we can't find a way to resolve this matter in the next 48 hours, I'm going to put troops on the ground. The meeting had been a major priority on the president's schedule. It was booked weeks in advance. As far as she was concerned, there was no matter more important, and her entire afternoon had been cleared for this discussion. So it was surprising when the Oval Office door opened and her chief of staff interrupted. Madam President, the chief of staff said, I'm so sorry for the interruption, but you're needed in the Situation Room immediately. What's wrong? President Walker asked. It's best if you see for yourself, the chief of staff said. There's a situation in New York City. Terrorism? The president asked. No, ma'am, he said with difficulty. Our most educated analysis with all means of science and technology in mind is that, it's magic. The end. That's the end of this book. What a jerkwad. That's where he ended it. He ended it on that moment, huh? Is he crazy? Is he crazy? What was he thinking ending it like that? What was he thinking ended it like that? Well, the good news is we have book club tomorrow, and we can start the next book tomorrow. The next book is called Worlds Collide, and we will read it tomorrow morning. Thank you all for sticking with us late so that we could finish this, because it's kind of fun to finish it, right? And wow, that was a wild ride. So just to recap, the masked man's dead. Goldilocks and Jack have a son, and there's magic in New York City. Wow. Wow. And a tiny human is shaking the tripod, in case you're wondering why it looks like I have, like, shake. Now I have the Power Man 500 stuck in my head. I don't know what that is. What's that? Are you standing up? Wow, big girl. Big girl, be careful. Be careful. This is not a fun place to stand. Okay, well, we'll see you all later. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Both of our grandmas are coming today. We're going to see 2 grandmas. 2 grandmas. What a world. All in one place. That's never happened to you before.